Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. How you doing, man? Yvonne. Wait a minute. First off, let me introduce you for the people that don't know who you are. We got an actress. She's a wife. She's a hustler. The one and only Yvonne Senat Jones.
Thank you, Troy. So good to see you.
Oh yeah, same here, man. I haven't seen you in so long, man. How you been?
I've been good. I've been good. Yeah, I told my husband, I was like, I'm about to get on the line with Troy today. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, Halo's friend.
Yeah, and I remember. What's so crazy, man? I remember you met your husband back when we was working at T-Mobile, right?
Yep.
Oh man, I remember him too. That was so long ago. I remember that, man. Y'all was like two lovebirds, I swear. But no, look, I just want to get straight into it, right? Since this is your first time on the show, I usually start off, with who you are and your background. So let me get it right. You was born in was it Texas or where was you born at?
Yeah, I was born in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah, but I was raised in California since I was like 1 year old. Me and my mom came out here.
So you moved immediately a year later and came straight to California.
Yep.
And what part of California did you grow up in?
In South Bay, right next to our shop.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you was local. That was nothing, man. So let me ask you, how was it like around, let's just say, okay, what elementary school in South Bay did you attend?
All right, so I grew up in Carson.
Okay.
And I went to a Christian elementary school called Pacific Harbor in Wilmington, and then from there I went to Jackie Robinson in Long Beach.
Okay.
It's still there, and then from there I went to CAMS for high school. That's a high school on Cal State Dominguez Hills campus.
Oh, it's called CAMS. See, I never knew they had a high school in that campus.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, they don't let you. There's no sports because CSUDH uses all of them for their facilities, So there's like water polo and like track.
Understood. So it's really no football, basketball, or none of the more popular sports, I would say.
Nah. So no cheerleading, no basketball. It was definitely all academia for sure.
Okay.
Which is funny because I went there and I became an actor. My brother went there 8 years later, and he's a rocket engineer.
Oh, snaps.
It's a math and science school, California Academy of Math and Science. So he made good use of the math and science. I kind of just went the other way.
I never met a rocket scientist a day in my life. That's pretty dope. So let me ask you, just in Carson in general, like when you was just in elementary, junior high school, right? What was it like growing up? How was the environment? Was it fun? Was it bad? What was it like for you?
It was a little bit different for me because I went from a Christian school where everybody knew my name, everybody knew my family. We had like 15 people in the class that we went to church and went to school together. Yeah. So it was like tight knit. And then I went to my first public school for 7th and 8th grade before high school. And it was rough because my dad, I don't know if my dad ever came to the store, but my dad, who I call my dad, is my stepdad. He's white.
Okay.
And my mom is Latina. So my dad would show up in Long Beach, right? He'd show up in Long Beach. Right. Everybody would be outside in a ranchero with cowboy boots, playing country music. And I go to the car. Right, I go up to the car, so right. I got teased a lot, and just because I wasn't raised with anybody Black in my house.
Understood.
So it was rough because I think in junior high, especially when you have people who don't know you, it's a big public school. Everybody likes to click up, and it was like I didn't really have a clique anywhere, and I didn't really so it was rough, but. And I almost got beat up a lot of times.
Oh my God, Yvonne fighting! I can't even imagine.
Helped me out. The Samoans.
Oh, shout out to them! Shout out to Samoan. Shout out to the Samoans. That's what I'm talking about.
They came to my aid.
Right, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. And so then, but high school was cool because we were all nerds. So we were all used to being bullied. So then we all come together. The popular kids were the smart kids who were getting your A's in class, you know?
Right, right.
So it was a nice role reversal. And I feel like that's actually when I first started being okay with being myself because, you know, it's junior high. People are trying to identify with themselves. Once you get to high school, start getting into college, people realize like you don't have to act one way to be your race. You know, like
right.
There's people coming from all over the world who identify as Black, identify as Latina, but doesn't mean we all have to act the same, you know? So it helped a lot in high school once, you know, we started all realizing that about each other and just accepting each other and stuff, so.
Well, that's pretty, that's a trip. That's a crazy experience. That's funny you have brought that up because like you said, I believe there's a stigma to you know, when you're Black, you have to act a certain way, you have to speak a certain way, you have to do certain things in order for people to say, okay, you're Black, or okay, you're Black enough, quote unquote. And like you said, the older you get, and you start to realize that there is no one way to be Black. I'm born, I am who I am. I can be who I am and still be what I was born as, you know?
But yeah.
That's pretty
like said, and we don't realize it negatively affects our community. Like, you know, I feel like definitely when you're a kid, it's like, oh, you have to talk Black or something, like you can't sound educated outside of, but when was that ever something that we decided on? I feel like that was something like that people above us said like, oh, well, we're going to keep you uneducated. So then you have a bunch of people who did not have access to the same kind of education. So then that became almost a cultural part of ourselves, which is awful, that then we're trying, you know, not we, but if we're not careful, we might try to bring that into where we are now. And it's like, no, we should have had access to the same kind of education as everyone else, which would have probably meant we all sounded a little bit more, I guess you want to say, white.
and you know, what some people call it, white or / more of us would be speaking proper English, I would say.
Yeah, but the nice thing also is that now in our world, it's like we get to still speak the way that we do culturally.
Yeah.
That does not negate the fact that we're intelligent. You know, like we don't have to then assimilate and be like, oh, we have to sound this way it's not one or the other kind of choice. So that's what I do respect about our community is like we accept each other as we are. Hopefully, you know, as much as possible we try. And that means we come in all different you know, backgrounds and everything. So I love that part of being Black.
You know, people, let me ask you, people, because growing up for you, right, do you think it was because it sounded like you couldn't fit in or find a place anywhere, right? Yeah. Like, or do you feel, were people always confused by you because of the way you look and then you pop out and you can speak fluent Spanish as well? Like, they always, it's kind of a confusing thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I related closest to Latino culture because my mom raised me, and then I had a really big extended Latino family from Bolivia, and everybody spoke Spanish. Right. So growing up, it was kind of like a shocker to me to have my race actually be something of a conversation piece, because it was like, oh, I'm just Yvonne, and I happen to speak Spanish, but I look like this. So Afro Latina has been something I've actually really embraced now, because I feel like a lot of people who are Caribbean and Latin, or who are just have two of those ethnicities, you know, it does make you a certain kind of way where you can't just say I'm only one, I'm only Black, or I'm only Latin, like, you know. And so it was hard growing up because people can put me in a box. I couldn't put me in a box. I definitely tried to for a while, but the nice thing is, as you get older, you start meeting people who just embrace you the way you are. You know, although it was funny because we worked at T-Mobile for so long, and then we had one of our managers who's Mexican, but he didn't speak Spanish, right? And so then people would go to him and be like, hey, and they start speaking in Spanish. And
wrong person.
Me. And then they're looking at him like, first of all, you must be lying. And second of all, like, why am I going to talk to her?
Right. They looking at him like, you lying, you just don't want to do your work. No, he can't speak Spanish, but she can. You know what's so crazy? I think that's pretty dope though, because it's almost like, because your biological father is Haitian, correct?
Yeah, so Caribbean. My dad's from Haiti, and then my mom's from Bolivia, South America.
Well, see, I think it's pretty dope though, because you kind of get the best of both. It's this whole crazy combination of everything, and you can communicate with most people.
Yeah.
You speak the English, you can speak Spanish, and we know Spanish is spoken in a lot of different countries. So that was pretty dope. Like, when you always knew Spanish in junior high, elementary too?
Yeah, so it was my first language because it was just me and my mom until she remarried. And then I feel like she kind of felt like it would be disrespectful to only speak Spanish at the house since my stepdad, my dad, doesn't speak Spanish.
Understood.
And so in the house, it was more so we would talk to each other in Spanish, if it was just us. But I lost it, to be honest with you. I kind of lost the language in junior high and things. It wasn't until I started working at T-Mobile when I was 18 that I started seeing everyone who spoke Spanish was doubling their sales.
Getting money.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna have to tap back into it. So I just started trying. And the nice thing is that I feel like very much so in the Latin community, they're very forgiving. And if you mess up the language, they'll correct you, which is nice, because then you don't go making the same mistake. But it really helped to go ahead and continue to speak it. And then I hit up my Spanish coworkers and they would help me out. Like contract is not contracto, it's contrato. Like, everyone.
Look, there she go. She's showing y'all the skills. She let you know the skills is real.
So we were all working down that sheet. I just found it too. I just found that. Remember the sheet we had to mark off all the questions we asked? Like, okay, did we ask about this plan?
Yep, sure do. I sure do. Oh man, that was so long ago. That's crazy. So in high school, so you went from Christian junior high school, Christian school, but pretty much a private school to a public school, which was like a total culture shock. You go from that, and then you transition to high school, and during high school, we know that's when the Samoans had your back, right?
Junior high, the Samoans had my back in Long Beach. Junior high.
In Long Beach. Now, did you still deal with the same stuff in high school as well, or was it a little bit different?
I think it was different because there you could only get into CAMS the freshman year because they really wanted people to work on team building. So you have the same class for 4 years.
Yeah.
Even though it was public, they only accepted people the first year. And because of that, it became almost like a hybrid. There were a lot of students like public school, but everybody knew everybody else because you have like group projects. You got to go to each other's houses. Everybody's dads, everybody's moms. So it was kind of a hybrid where we started knowing each other. So it was like, oh yeah, Yvonne's dad is white and her mom Latina, and her dad, her biological dad is in Texas and he's Haitian. So that's what's going on with Yvonne. So it made it like a lot easier.
Everybody, it sounded like it was a little, because it was close knit and tight knit. Everybody was, I would say, more understanding is what you say, because everybody know everybody.
That's what it is. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody has to work with each other. And then the nice thing is that I started seeing because most of my girlfriends were Black. And I started seeing I don't have, all of them are different, all of them have their own unique style and they were raised in a Black family, but that doesn't make them the same person. Right. So that was really informative for me and how I was growing up at the time, to realize okay, I can have my own unique background, but that doesn't mean I'm not a Black woman,
Right.
So that really helped a lot to finally embrace that side of myself. Okay. So yeah, and those girls are still my girlfriends. I'm the godmother for one of them, for their kids.
Shout out to them.
Maybe, yeah. And so we're that really healed me, to be honest with you. I feel like that really healed me before I entered into the real world, because it's very painful to be rejected by your own people and not know why, as a kid, right? As a teenager, you just feel like you're not enough, so yeah, I speak to that a lot though, thankfully, now that I get to talk to young girls. I do talk to them. I went to Atlanta and talked to some girls, and one of the girls asked about struggling with identity, and she was Muslim. So she had a job, and I just asked her, is that something that you are challenged with being out here? And she's like, absolutely, you know, because she's still a Black woman.
Right, right.
Different religion that's visible, you know.
Right.
So everybody struggles within the, and some people are saying that, you know, they're from somewhere in the South, so then people tease them because they sound too like, you know, country.
Too country.
So everybody has something that can either set them apart or make them feel out of place. But honestly, it just means like we're all unique. So just deal with it.
Right. And I guess people are afraid of things that they're not used to, or some people have a certain expectation on what they feel a certain person or how a certain race or a certain gender should act. So they place that upon everybody else, which I feel is, that's what kind of causes the whole confusion. But it's funny. It's pretty cool to see though. You kind of figured it out kind of early, which was in high school. Because I see a lot of people that still, like, I think you still have grown adults that still struggle with I'm gonna say, what I say, identity crisis.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty cool to see that you figured it out.
Well, so, I would say that started, but I would actually say that I figured it out because it's funny. My husband's Black. His family's from like Virginia and DC, and I'll get sides, which are basically script pieces for my audition. Okay. And if I read by the language that they want me to kind of sound a certain way, you know, I like probably just sound, they like to call it urban.
Right. We know what urban is. Urban is this. Yes. We know.
I can tell by the way it's written that they want her to sound, you know, more urban. And that's fine because it's the character. They want her to be this character. And that's, depending on who wrote it, sometimes, you know, it's okay, I understand. But that comes across my desk and Chuck immediately tells me like, babe, you're doing some kind of accent thing right now that's not working for you. It goes into some kind of country, it's bad. And so I've just learned, look, this is Yvonne, and obviously acting's acting. So if it was, you know, I can change if that's true. But at a certain point, you're gonna get Yvonne saying these lines. And if you want, you know, Tiffany Haddish saying these lines,
you gotta go get Tiffany Haddish.
You can go get Tiffany Haddish because she can have an authenticity that Yvonne just doesn't tap into.
Understood. I get you on that. So
it has been its own kind of, it's a continual process, you know, it's a continual process throughout everything.
Let me ask, because I want to get into that too, right? But let me backtrack real quick. So we go from, you started off at, you went to El Camino?
Yeah, I went to Elko. That's where I decided to be an actor.
You went to Elko, right? You you studied, you majored, what was it, performing arts?
So I started as a business major. I had quit school for a year and a half to try to be a model. And so I went back to school and then I took a class in everything I liked and I landed on acting and became a theater arts major.
Understood. And then you went from there to, you got your bachelor's too, right?
Cal State Long Beach. That's when I got with y'all. So I was at Elko when I transferred to y'all. I actually wanted to transfer to the Carson store because it's close to where I lived. Right. But I ended up, they needed a person at the Long Beach store. So I transferred there thinking it was just going to be temporary. Got transferred to South Bay Long Beach. And I was like, yo, this is the best gig. I was literally running to my car from from rehearsals to get in the car to come do the night shift with y'all. Would not have did it if I was in Carson. So it was just the perfect setup. And I was there for 7 years, 8 years.
You, Yvonne, I think some people might have you confused. Your hustle was ridiculous. People don't understand. Listen, I remember, Yvonne, you was the only one, right? I swear, I wouldn't even say you was just the one that everybody loved, right? So it's Yvonne, you had the shortest shift sometime, right? You would come in with the natural hair, it'll be bouncing, and you would just be happy. Oh, hey guys, You have your little folder. Go to the back. Come out with your folder. You probably be at work for 3 hours and get 1,000 activations, and everybody's been there 8 hours and got one. And then you would leave 3 hours later on your way to an audition. I'm like, what the hell? And then we look at the board and look at all the activations. Yvonne got 100 million. And I'm working 8 hours and I only got 5. I'm like, what? I don't even know how the hell she did it, man.
I don't know either. You know what it was? I'm telling y'all, it was that Spanish because my families were loyal. My Latino families, they would be like, okay, now we're bringing my tia, now we're bringing abuelito. Like
it was the Spanish. I don't know. I think it was more. It was more than. It was just more than the Spanish because everybody likes you. Then you had some of the guys that would try to hit on you. You would never go for them, never fall for it, never nothing. The only guy I ever see you fall for is the one that's your husband right there. You would never fall for none of it. Then you have the hair to be just popping out, and then you just be speaking the Spanish, and then flip it back to English and shit. I'm like, oh my God.
I love you, Troy, because you're like one of the few people who like really, really knew me back then, who could speak on it. And like, it's so funny to get you
I'm saying it was pretty dope though, man. Because you was the first person I seen. When I heard you speak Spanish, I was confused. You feel me? I was confused. I'm like, wait, what the? I'm like, okay, well, maybe she just learned it in, maybe she learned it in school or some shit. I don't know. Because at that time, Afro Latina, that whole term and everything, it wasn't I don't even know if it existed. So there was no term for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then once the term come, I'm like, oh, that's Yvonne. I'm like, oh, that's Yvonne. That's a trip, man. You went on so many auditions around that time, right?
I went on a ton of auditions, and they would be in LA, because this wasn't the Zoom thing. Nowadays, it's easier because people are Zooming auditions. I could have just gone to the back room and done my audition, if it was back in the day.
Right.
No, I had to like get in my car, drive to LA for literally like a 10-minute audition, drive myself back. And, sometimes I'd be splitting the shift. If you like, right. I drive out for lunchtime, maybe come back like 15 minutes too late, but just fly back in there and just have to make it work. But by the grace of God, honestly, I just know it's grace that got me through all of that, because it would be just, I had incredible managers. We always had great managers at that time. Really understanding. I had incredible reps like y'all who would switch on me, switch with me on a dime, right? Like I'd hit y'all because I'd find out the night before and be like, oh my gosh, Troy, definitely you did switch with me several times, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, not a problem.
And so I just was really blessed to have a job. That's the hardest part about being an actor is your livelihood, like that accommodating such a crazy, hectic lifestyle.
Right.
So I was really blessed to have y'all on my corner.
Oh, I appreciate that. Is it anything that you thought it was gonna be like being? Because should I ask you this? Do you feel like an actress, or you just feel like what is it? Does the feeling change? Like what is it?
What I will say is like it's easier. My auditions are easier now. I was definitely very nervous about, it's like what we talk about, your identity, right? Like figuring out what your gift is and if you're allowed to do it the way you want to do it. So finally accepting like, all right, you might want so-and-so, you might want like let's say a cheerleader for this commercial to say X, Y, Z, right? And then before it would be like, okay, maybe make it to match their brand, and all those things matter. But at the end of the day, like I had to just be okay with, okay, this is the package I come in, this is the voice that comes out of me, and this is my own sense of humor, my own whatever that I bring to the table, and I'm just gonna give them that because I could do that the best. And so that took a while to accept. So now when I get auditions and everything, I feel much more confident about what's for me is for me. If it's mine, it's mine. And so I'm just going to give them the best me I can because they either want Yvonne to be this person or they need somebody else, and that's all right.
Understood. So
it feels a lot easier to audition now, which is a gift.
that's a good thing right there. It make because you put in your 10,000 hours, so everything starts to change. Now, how did you? Because it sounded like because you wanted to be a model at first, and then you got into what made you just wanted to start acting when you was at Elko?
It was a class taught by Mr. Ron Scarlatta. I did an improv class, and he gave people a card and was like, "This is who you're gonna be, and this is who you're gonna be." We didn't know who we were to each other until we got into the scene, so it felt very real.
Right.
And I had a scene where I was a teacher, and I had flunked out someone's student because I thought he needed to take the class again, but I knew he had a learning disability. So I didn't want to be easy on him because I felt the world wouldn't be easy on him. Meanwhile, the dad comes in and he's pissed that he's been flunked or whatever. And then he drops the bomb that in the scene, that his son committed suicide.
Okay.
So then for me, it felt like it switched into like such a real scenario that I kind of was in it, right? And it just was, and then when the lights cut off after the scene was over, it was like, what was that experience? Whatever it was, I want to do it again. Because it felt like an outer body experience. It felt like I was really that teacher. He was really the dad. I was not Yvonne anymore. Like it was just its own natural high. And I loved it so much that I said, I got to do it again. So that's when I made it my major, because I was really nervous about switching from business, because business seemed very practical,
I understood.
But I just trusted God to handle everything. And sure enough, he did. Like you said, like all the stuff we're talking about, right. I didn't know why people were coming in to activate with me either. I just felt like it was, I prayed like, God, I just have this much time. I don't want them to fire me.
Yeah. One thing I can say, you definitely kept your faith the whole time. I swear to you, Yvonne. You was so damn disciplined on everything you was trying to accomplish and just who you were trying to be. And it seemed like the shit just worked. You was dedicated to your faith, to everything, even just to the job, to your auditions. Even when you met your husband, it was just like the dedication was just like, I think it was just so dope, Oh. But I gotta ask you, how did you you went from that, how you go from T-Mobile to just on BET Ruthless? Like how did the Ruthless thing come up?
I'll tell you. What I will
say.
Wait,
what's your character name on there again? Is it what's the name?
Tally.
There you go, Tally. There you go. How did you become Tally all of a sudden?
Tally. So what I will say is this: I definitely feel like it rolled from there, from booking to ET. So I worked at T-Mobile for 15 years. I don't think people realize that, like off and on, because when I left for grad school in USC, University of South Carolina, I quit. But then my mom was the one who was like, baby, just ask me for your job every summer. I was like, Mom, they're not gonna hire me seasonally. Sure enough, they were like, oh, we don't have to train you, and you got customers over here?
Right.
Oh, come back every summer.
Let's do it. Right.
So that's what I was doing. And then I stayed for 2 years after I graduated. And then I really felt like, okay, I feel like I can leave and work with my husband full time. And so a month after I finally quit the second time, I was in Atlanta because I had booked Bobby Brown's story.
Oh, you was, damn. I think I saw the Bobby Brown story. I can't remember.
Okay, it's all right, because I still have people who are like, wait, you played Robin Crawford? Like Whitney's Robin Crawford? I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, I'm about to go back and watch that. That's crazy.
Look it up. So that was confirmation for me, like, okay, you're headed in the right direction. So I'm all right. So then I just was driving Uber for 2 years to supplement our business, because our business is doing well, but I mean, it's LA, it's expensive out here.
Yes.
And so for 2 years I was just off and on driving Uber the whole time and Lyft. And then I got a call back. I had like I just talked about it on Clubhouse.
I gotta find you on Clubhouse too.
Yeah, find me on Clubhouse. So I think all along the journey, there were breakdowns. There were moments that I was like, nope, I'm done. This This is taking too long. You know, I've been in the game for like, by that time, like 8 years, if you include my school, you know,
right.
It was just really taxing. And I had a big breakdown. I didn't want to talk to God. I was like, God, don't talk to me in the car.
Right.
Don't talk to me right now. I'm so mad.
Right.
And I drove and sat in this field because we're in the Valley area.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about things that I was going to go back. I was like, I'm going to go back to school because I need to make money. And I don't like feeling like, you know, I have no control over everything. And then that night I got my residual check after 1 year from Bobby Brown. So there came money all at once, a big check.
It was a big one?
It was a big one.
Okay. Got you.
And so that like happened at 3 a.m. that night. 3 a.m. My husband woke me up like, "Hey, we got a big amount of money in the account." I was like, "Is it a bill? Is it a bill?" I'm freaking out. He's like, "Nah, it's a deposit."
Right, it's a deposit. It's for us to pay the bills. Right.
Troy, when I tell you, we're looking at the phone 3 a.m. Comes in, an email comes in from my agent saying, Yvonne, you have a callback in Atlanta for Tyler Perry's sisters, right?
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Dang.
I was like 4 a.m. because of the time difference. But yeah,
right.
like early. And so I was like, oh, I got the money to pay for it. Nah, Tyler Perry, he does first class for all his callbacks. He flew us first class for a callback.
For a callback.
That means you're not even booked yet. Like you just might get.
You just auditioning, right? He just wanted to see what you got.
Yep.
Oh,
and that happened that night. And I did not get sisters, obviously. But I did. It was funny because I was on the plane going back and I was watching Robin Hood with Jamie Foxx and the other actor. And they're supposed to blow up this castle, but they mess up. Oh no, they're supposed to get the gold from the castle, but they mess up and they blow it up instead, right? And so Robin Hood's super pissed off. And I was watching this on the plane back, right? Callback. And Robin Hood is super pissed off, but Jamie Foxx is like super excited, right? And he's like, man, why are you so excited? Like, we didn't get the gold, right? And he's like, but now they know our name. And I felt like in my heart, I felt like in my spirit, that was for me. It was like, because I didn't book it. I didn't book it. 2 weeks passed. I didn't even get I didn't get any kind of notification. People I knew were already shooting it.
Right. Okay.
So it's harder to watch social media and people are like, hey, I'm on set, like I'm filming, you know.
Right.
So it was tough those 2 weeks. But I did keep that in my heart. Like he knows my name. Right. Like Tyler saw me in person. I did a great job, I believed. And we'll just move forward. So then 2 weeks pass. I see people filming Sisters, The Oval, things are moving along. And that's when I got an audition for Tally for The Oval. And that was just supposed to be a recurring role for 8 episodes. It's still bigger than I'd ever done. Like all I had before that was 1 episode co-stars of just like 1 page of dialogue.
Okay.
And now here comes 8 days of work. And I was blown away. I go out there, I film it. It goes really well. I give Mr. Perry a thank you card because I'm big on thank you cards.
Okay.
And I say, thank you, it's my last day on set. He's like, oh, yeah. It's your last day today, but it won't be your last time here. We're going to bring you back.
Oh, I know that was a feeling right there.
And I was like,
ooh, what you mean?
I know. I was like, what you? But obviously, he just keeps rolling. So you're just like, thank you.
And he just said it like that. Just that simple.
He just said it, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, that means I did a great job. He's going to bring it back someday.
Right.
Like maybe a month later, maybe 2 months later, I think, I have 8 scripts, 8 episodes with my name on it, just emailed to me.
Dang.
And then it turns out he had already been planning this series, Ruthless, and had our characters in mind and put me and Melissa, who's the lead, Ruth, into the entire series that he just wrote with our characters, just like that. So I didn't have to audition for the series regular.
So that's true when they say, when you go in that room and you audition, you're not really just auditioning for that role.
You gotta
You auditioning for whatever, a plethora of things that they may have that come in the future.
Yep. Especially with Tyler Perry, because the man does not forget. He does not forget. I've heard stories on the way over there. Someone said, oh yeah, he met my friend at a party, said, you have a really good look. Give me your information. I'm gonna come up with a role for you. A year later, he hits her up. I have your role. Here it is.
Tyler Perry, a genius.
He's a genius. He just writes like a fiend. He just writes series after series after series, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was just such a blessing. And then, you know, here comes COVID. And except for Mr. Perry. He's the only one who figured it out for Georgia. He talked to the mayor, talked to all the medical professionals, figured it all out. So his people, because you know it affected the Black community worse than other communities. And so he really took it seriously and was the only one in Hollywood working.
Oh wow, that Tyler Perry, you got to give a man his props. You saw the studio in person, right? You worked at the studio.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Is it really that crazy?
Kingdom. It's a kingdom. It's just massive and trees on trees on trees and studios for miles. And then he put in all the housing to house the people in the bubble.
Okay.
So all the staff, all the crew, everybody gets tested in. They stay there, and then they just get tested every 3 days, the whole time you're filming.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Everybody stays there.
You filming? You're not filming at the moment, are you?
No, Tyler films a whole series in 2 weeks.
Wait a minute. What? How you fit a whole series in 2 weeks?
Yep, a whole series in 2 weeks.
So you don't get no days off.
No days off. 0 days off. No days off.
How many episodes?
We did like more than 24 this season. Yep. The thing that people don't realize is like he comes from theater, and so I feel like that's why he works the way he does. It's like you're in a play because you only do it once. You don't pick it up and do it over and over and over again all day. You do the scene, you go in, you handle your business, you're out, you're on to the next scene. So yeah, that's how he works. So you literally will have a day of like 30 scenes back to back, and you just like go. So that grad school, that undergrad, like that was key because that's where I learned how to like memorize a whole play where I'm on stage the entire time and I have the whole play memorized so that I can just keep going. It's pretty much the same thing on a Tyler Perry set. You know, I memorize everything. I memorize all my episodes as if it's a play ahead of time.
Understood.
And then I go through it. And there's somebody there to call line if you need it. You know, it's like the end of the world, but don't be doing it every time.
You got to know your lines.
You got to know your lines.
How is it? Because I always wondered, is it when you break down your lines and you study it and you get this big old thick book of all the whole script, how do you break that down? Are you breaking this down per episode? Or you just know the whole entire script? How the hell?
My process is I use an app called Line Learner, where you record all the lines, including the other people's lines. So say if it was a conversation between me and you, I would hit their lines, like I'd hit the button that says their lines, and I would say like your line. Hey Yvonne, how you doing today? Then I'd hit my line button and I'd say like, I'm doing great, Troy, thanks for asking. So I spent a whole day just reading the entire script and putting it on the app. So now I have it on my phone and I can listen to it wherever I want to. I can speed it up, I can slow it down, I can take out your lines so that it's only I can take out my lines, so it's only giving me your cue lines. And then I say mine in those spaces. So honestly, I did that as soon as I got the script. And then there's a strategy that if you write the first letter of each word on the side of the line, so say if it was like, hey, how are you? You would write H, comma, H-A-Y question mark.
Okay.
Then you put your hand over the main lines and you just see the letters and you try to figure out like, what do those letters stand for again? Hey, how are you? And I would just go through the script that way. It actually lines come back to you faster if you're remembering something rather than if you're just like memorizing it and trying to take it in. Actually having to recall something forms a stronger memory in your mind than just words on a paper and you trying to recall what the words look like. It's like, I have to know what these mean, what these letters mean. What
understood. It's a science to it.
There's a science to it. I looked it up. It's like the synapses in your brain fires off much faster and much deeper than if you're just trying to memorize a script. So that has, I don't know how it works, but I will tell you it works. Like,
understood.
You memorize like this. And then I will just say it every day. I will work out and say my lines every day until I was on set, which for me was about like, this last time was about 6 weeks. So I had a long time.
Damn.
But the last time was like 2.5 weeks.
Damn, you didn't have enough time, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry probably would have kicked somebody like me off the set because knowing me, Yvonne, I probably would have practiced my lines and I would have just got out there and got in my emotions and just ad-lib everything. Like, I don't know. They would have fired me. I would have lost. I wouldn't be I would probably be in character most definitely. But as far as the script that they gave me, oh my God, I would probably rearrange the whole script. He'd probably be so pissed off and kick me out the damn shit.
That's hilarious. The problem is like, you got to know your lines, not just for yourself. You got to know them for your partner because
for your partner
might have just memorized that you say yes right before he says his line. So if he doesn't get that yes, he's over here in a lurch like, bro, you just messed me all the way up. You know, I'm not saying you. But
right.
I'm just saying for me, that was the pressure. I felt like, okay, I don't want to mess up my lines for myself, and I don't want to mess up my lines for whoever just busted their butt trying to memorize their lines.
So it's a team thing. I got you.
Yeah.
It was you know, it was so crazy to hear you say when you kind of you didn't lose faith. You kind of just, you know, sometimes you get upset.
Yeah.
When you feel like you've been working so hard and things is just not going your way, right?
Right.
And that, you know what that reminded me of? Do you remember the time we went to Buffalo Wild Wings? Was that Buffalo Wild Wings or that was
up on the top where we're bowling?
No, Yvonne. Here you're gonna remember this when I tell you the story. You remember it. We went to Buffalo Wild.
Okay, in Long Beach.
Yeah, but in Long Beach when you were singing Usher.
I was singing Usher. What song was I singing for Usher?
I don't remember. Remember. Yeah, remember. It was all of us. The whole team went out that day. And we, you know, in Buffalo Wild Wings, you know, you can go select the music to play. And we was there later than everybody, so we kind of had control over the music. And we was just loud singing, and we went and picked Usher. But the whole time we was singing other songs, you was there, but you really wasn't singing. I promise you, Yvonne. When that Usher came,
that was my jam.
Hey, I was like, wait a minute, is she supposed to sing this? She said to the Lord, what the hell going on?
Which song am I missing right now?
I can't remember what song it was, but it was that day, that was like the highlight of our night. Like, it was so dope because it was like, I don't know, it was just dope, but it was just like, you know, Yvonne into God, she's like, because at one point it was like, I would look at you like, shit, I don't want to do you don't want to do no bad shit in front of Yvonne. No, that's like your auntie or something that, you know, like, like I can't do that. And then then when I saw you singing Usher, I was like, oh shit.
All the senses are down. All right, she cool.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, what the heck? Because you had always been cool and like dope, but it was just like a shocker. Like, oh man, Yvonne is crazy. Like, she used to listen to Usher back in the day too, huh?
Bro, yeah. I listened to so many things. Eminem was like my favorite rapper. Well, not my favorite rapper, but like I knew all his lyrics. I love Bone Thugs, like see all of that, those high school days.
Right. Let me ask you this. What else do you got coming up, like as far as work? Do you got anything you can let the people know that you're working on? Or
I do. I'm really excited about this because it's what we were just talking about. So Disney Plus has a movie called Sneakerella.
Okay.
Which is funny because I do remember I like got schooled on all the sneakers working at T-Mobile because that was the only way y'all could accessorize.
Yeah.
You had to wear the shirts. We call them magenta because they're pink, but the boys had to wear them. So y'all wear the magenta shirts and the black slacks, but everybody had some cool kicks on.
Yeah, me and Junior for sure. We are
Y'all kick game was real tough. So Sneakerella is like Cinderella, but modern day, and it's based off of like it's sneaker culture.
Oh shit! When this come out?
It comes out in fall, I believe, of 2021. I just finished filming it in Toronto. Yeah.
Well, is it a movie, a documentary, or what is it?
It's a movie. It's a musical and it's live action. So we actually are ourselves in it. And there's dancing and there's singing. And the dancing is like sick. These dancers are very talented. Right. And it takes place, so basically it's like, it's called Sneakerella. Okay. And it's a role reversal so that Cinderella's character is played by the guy, and then the prince's character is played by my daughter, the princess. So she meets him, and he's kind of from lower class or whatever because they just have a sneaker store that they're trying to make work or whatever, and he has a stepdad and stepbrothers, and then we have a sneaker empire.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me stop you. I'm trying to understand this. So they put the guy in the Cinderella situation and the woman the reverse.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So we have a sneaker empire, which is why we're called, and we're the King family. So we're the royals. And John Sally is playing my husband, the king.
Oh, shit.
And I play the queen.
Okay.
So it's really exciting. What I was saying is like, I love that they specifically asked for an all Black family. Like they just wanted a royal family, but they wanted a Black mom, Black dad. And I think for representation, it's really important, you know? And so it's incredible. It's a beautiful project. It's done really well. Like it's really fun. And then Chosen and Lexi, those are the main characters.
Okay.
Their voices are incredible. Like they're just phenomenal. And it's funny because it's real hush hush. I've only been able to hear their songs because they won't let you hear any songs you're not in.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know?
Real exclusive.
It's exclusive. And so the only ones I've been able to see is when they were filming. And it's real magical. So that comes out in 2021. It's going to be on Disney Plus, and that one is one I'm very, very, very excited about. You
got John Sally. Who else what other stars is in that?
So because it's mainly the younger kids, so then those stars are like Lexi Underwood, who plays my daughter. She was the daughter on Little Fires Everywhere, Kerry Washington's daughter. Okay. We saw that with Reese Witherspoon. And then Chosen Jacobs has been on the It movies. And he has like so many millions of subscribers. Basically, it's like, you know, the kids. Gotcha. Like, those are like the popular people in the generation underneath us.
Got you. Understood.
Yeah. So those are the leads. And then let's see, Robin Alomar, she plays my other daughter. She's on Utopia Falls. So they definitely have a lot of people in that generation that are doing great things right now. Yeah.
Got you. Let me ask you, what's the best advice you would say, or if any, what was the best advice you would say that you received from Tyler Perry and or working at the studio, just being in that environment?
I would say the best advice I received from Mr. Perry was we had a conversation once, and he admired, you know, my point of view on something, and that I was okay with stating it, you know what I mean? And he said, I really respect the fact that you stand up for what you believe in, you know? And he said, that's a principle, he's talking about himself, he said, that's a principle that I live my life with on a regular basis. And he said, you know, don't ever lose that, because it's very important for you to, you know, have your principles and have what you stand up for. So that for me, the fact that he took me aside to have that conversation was definitely something that I'm not going to forget, because he is somebody who has really stuck to his guns about a lot of things. You know, like people have definitely asked for him to change on certain notes, but he has a system that works for him. He's just became a billionaire on Forbes. Like, well, it's obviously it's successful.
It's working. You can't tell that man nothing, right? He know what he's doing.
So it's successful. So you can't argue with that. And so I really love that he pointed that out specifically. He was like, you know, it's very important to just stay true to yourself, basically. Just stay true to yourself in this game, because a lot of people want you to do what they want you to do or change it up or something. And you can be open, obviously, to advice. But at the end of the day, you have to do what you feel peace about, you know.
Understood.
So I definitely feel like that's important for all of us to realize in the industry. Like, there's going to be some roles that you love and some roles that you're like, you know what, this just maybe isn't for me. And, you know, it can go into that. It can go into scripts. It can go into just anything in the industry. You know what I mean? So it's important to just really continue to be around people like your friends and your family to remind yourself of who you actually are. So you can carry that into an industry that will ask you to switch things up sometimes.
Got you. You know what's so funny, Yvonne, because you kind of mentioned something earlier, is like when you get frustrated, you don't lose faith. You just get frustrated and you get upset, and you kind of remember, you put it in the back of your mind like he didn't forget my name. So it's almost like it gives you something to look forward to and something to push to. And like for me, I've been doing this, the whole podcast thing with me, and I got a co-host too, well, host, right? And but we making our channel a network. So, you know, we have a separate show. He has a separate show. I have a separate show. And then we have our show together. And then we all put it on one platform. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just funny to see how sometimes some people don't know how you affect their life, or how you affect, I'm not even going to say, I would say, I guess I would say life, because for me too, I was getting frustrated at one point. And then for you to DM me and reply back is like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, maybe I am doing the right thing. Maybe I am supposed to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, this is a woman that's been doing what she's been doing for so long. She don't got to take the time out to, even if she do know me, she don't owe me anything. She don't got to take the time out to talk to me or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like a
confirmation.
There you go. It's confirmation. And not only that, and to see where you come from and putting in so much work, because nowadays we in the microwave era. And I noticed that, you know, it's certain people, like, you don't come from that. Like, you don't come from the, oh shit, let me put this plate in the meal for 3 minutes and then it's just cooked and it's just meal. No, you come from, you got to take your time, you got to cook it. And sometimes you got to learn how to cook. Then you got to make sure it come out right. And then eventually once you got it, you got it. So you come from that whole putting in work, and the hard work pays off ordeal. So it's almost like when a person like me, and I only been doing this in particular for a year, think about quitting it, but then I have an actress. I'm sorry, I can't even, because I still look at you like Yvonne, right? But like, you are really an actress though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are an actress on Tyler Perry shows and shit like that. So it's like, it's just confirmation and it's just motivation. And I want to say I appreciate you for that, because I think it was one time, it's a story and it was so simple, and I don't think you realize how it affected me too. Because there's a lot of people at T-Mobile that affected me in certain ways and people don't know. I was always, you know me, I'm always clowning. I'm always a jokester and shit.
Troy is like, nothing gets him down. You know, like, that's the way we see you, is like impervious to anything. Like, it's just water off a duck's back at all times, you know. But that's nobody, right? Nobody's actually like that all the time.
Right. And you know, that's so funny, because that's how I looked at you too, right? But what was crazy is, because let me tell you how you don't know how you what you said one time, and it was something simple. I was clowning at work one day, and you know, I used to do this little voice and shit. And you came up and you said, I don't know how the conversation came about. All I know is you said, and you said it real quick. You said, Troy, you should do voiceovers. And I don't know if you walked out or some shit like that. I don't know, right? And I was like, said, that's funny. I said, that's funny she said that because that's the shit my mama said she always wanted to do. So it was crazy to me in my head, like, what the hell she said that? And then I don't even know if you remember, but I asked you about it. You remember? Mm-hmm. I asked you about it on a separate day. And in the separate day, you went as far as like, yeah, I think you should do it. And you told me, you said, and I'll help you out too. That's what you want to do. And I was just like, damn, but I guess at the time, I don't know. I was like, it just didn't seem real to me, right? And then like now today, I'm like, damn, I probably could have really did that shit. And then I'm sure, because I play around all the time. And I'm like, damn, that shit would be dope as hell. Like, I look like, damn, I would probably really have fun with that. But I say that to say, like, sometimes when you around people and certain people, you don't know the things that you say, how they can affect people.
That's right. Yeah.
Just as well as how you may have been through certain things and, you know, you may have got teased here and there or bullied or something like that. People don't know how the positive things you say, how far those go along too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was just my, you know, my point in that, you know. But enough of the mushy shit with me, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I want to tell you, I appreciate you for that. But
that means so much to me. That means so much to me.
Right. Let me ask you, before I close out, right? Because I know you probably got stuff to do and, you know, you might got some scripts and some lines to go on.
Thankfully not. I do have some, funnily enough, I do have some voiceovers to record. I just signed with the voiceover agency.
What you got?
It's just some projects like, we obviously can't say what they are, but they've been doing a lot of, it can be video games, it can be cartoons. Hit me up, Troy.
Okay.
We gonna talk.
Okay, got you. I'm gonna hit you up. That's what I'm talking about. But let me ask you, what advice would you give to the young girls in general coming up? Because I feel like we don't have enough there's no balance in examples that we have out here right now, right? It's not enough. Like you don't see you putting in your work, you following your faith. You don't have to be, naked all day, or you don't have to twerk on the internet all day. You don't have to talk this way. You can be married, and not only be married, be faithful to your husband and vice versa. And you guys can work together. And because your husband is a photographer, right? Is he still a photographer?
Yeah, we have a production company, MFB Entertainment. We do photography and videography. And he taught me how to shoot when we started dating, so that I was able to leave T-Mobile to help him with the editing and the filming and all these things. So we worked together.
Y'all a real power couple.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we got Jay-Z and Beyonce in the building. But what advice would you give, like the young girls coming up, just in general? What's the best piece of advice you can give them?
I say it's very important what you put in front of you. So, social media is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna give you a skewed version, and I'm guilty of it too. Mine's on the fitness side. Sometimes I'm like, dang, this is taking too long. Like, you're actually in my weight room. I don't know if y'all can see.
I know, I do be seeing you. You be on there working it out and stuff. I be seeing you. Yeah.
So I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes whatever we put in front of us really affects us. Whatever we put in our line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say balance it, with people that are where you want to be. So there's a ton of interviews right now about on these, if you're an actor, an aspiring actor, you know, you're an actor, but you just are aspiring for the career of it.
Mm-hmm.
Start watching the interviews of all your people that you want to become like. And that way you are reminded of your goals, because if you don't put something in front of you, and also write it down, like I wrote down that I wanted to be a series regular, and I learned it from Melissa L. Williams, who every day for a whole year, her and her mom and her sister were calling each other or texting each other the goal, the prayer that they had for that year, what they wanted to be. And hers was a series regular, the lead. And she taught that to me, and I wrote it down, and sure enough, you know, I was a series regular. But I think it has to do with whatever you put in front of you, because otherwise then you just fall victim to like seeing other people's lives and feeling like you're never gonna achieve it, you know, or seeing the too good to be true life and feeling like, oh, that's not my story. But you start listening to these interviews by the people who are where you want to be, just like this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
People might see me and be like, oh, she just popped up. They don't know like the 15 years of T-Mobile.
You put in the work. You ain't just pop up.
You know? And
right.
So for them, they're like, oh, okay, I can relate to driving Uber. I can relate to having to ask for a day off or switch shifts to like get to an audition. I can relate. So if you can at least relate on the base level, then it's like, oh, so she just kept doing that until it worked. I can keep doing this until it works. So that's my advice. Like, just learn from the people who are where you want to be, because people thrive off of mentorship. And for now, you know, those people can't be your mentors, but interviews like this are pretty much what you would have if you sat down and talked to them anyway. So go ahead and just feed yourself. My husband likes to say, whatever you feed grows, whatever you starve dies. There's something that you don't want to continue in your life, then you got to starve it. And if there's something you want to grow in your life, you got to feed it. And so that would be my advice. And then again, what Mr. Perry said, of just like, stay true to yourself. If there's something that doesn't give you peace in your heart about, like you said, you know, what you are willing or not willing to do on camera, trust that what's for you is for you, and you will get to your destination without having to sacrifice that part of yourself. And if you are a woman who does not feel like, you know, oh, I can never show this or I can never show that, but you really feel something, girl, go for it. You know, like, no judgment, absolutely no judgment. I think everybody has to be true to where they are on that spectrum when it comes to, because women are asked to do things that men are not. That's just bottom line.
You know? That's another topic in itself.
It is.
Right. Yeah. So I want to say this. I want to say, I appreciate you so much for doing this interview, for taking the time out. You definitely didn't have to. I definitely want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I don't want to hold up the rest of your day. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go, when I end this, I'm going to go ahead and edit it up. And, you know, save it, edit it up, and then I'm definitely going to be texting you so we can talk about the, you know, voiceover thing. So I'm definitely going to hit you up. But I just want to say thank you, but let the people know where they can follow you at. Give them your social media handle.
So I will. And before we leave, I just want to say, Troy, bottom of my heart, I love you. I
love you too.
And you, like, it was no question when I saw you hit me up for the podcast. It's like, I support my friend who supported me. You've always been consistent on your support. It was like, we never had to worry about, oh, Troy is saying XYZ behind someone's back, because Troy do whatever the XYZ is. I just believe that. So it felt like having a brother in the crew, and I just always been very, very grateful for you, and really blessed for the crew that I got to work with. You definitely being one of them. So just so you know, it's given right back to you. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I love you too, man. And I hope you have a good day, good evening, and shout out to your husband too, man. Shout out to him, man. Yeah.
So you can find me on social media with my first and my maiden last name, Yvonne Senat. That gets me on all of them, and then Yvonne Senat Jones on the ones that let me have such a long name. I think Insta doesn't let me, so.
I mean, you know you are on Google, you know, so they can just go to Google and, you know, they can just go to Google and just type it in, and, you know, I seen the Yvonne Senat with the Jones on there because I didn't want to be disrespectful to your husband, but I know you had a career, so I didn't know how. You know, sometimes you want to keep the name. You've been,
no, it's Yvonne Senat Jones. I just told him when we got married, I was like, you know, I love keeping your last name, but I did put in some work with this last name, so I'll keep both of them around.
Ah, man, thank you, Yvonne, and God bless you. And I'm gonna text you and make sure you lock my number in too if you haven't already.
In fact, I think it's already. Oh no, I think it is. It's you got a new one, so I got it here.
Lock me in. Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, have a good day.